Okay, all right. So, let's get you down. You go have a sniff around. Go on. All right, while Whimsy has a sniff around, maybe a pee and a poop, let's talk real quick about filming Go Roughly Around the World. We've got a variety of cameras, and we get asked a lot sort of how we capture different angles. So, maybe the best, which really should be left for last, but we're not going to do that. This is a GoPro that's on an extended arm that we've connected to the cockpit. And there's a variety of locations that you can mount your RAM mount to the cockpit. We keep as much of the cockpit cushioned and upholstered as possible, so it's kind of going to be difficult to find some spots, but there are spots and you can find them. We'll do a separate video about that. But we got one right here that catches sort of Whimsy's point of view. You can kind of see from the cockpit what's happening. Then we like to put a camera down here, kind of faces up into a bit of Jess, catches Whimsy from the front so you can kind of see. And when the cows go by and she does like a double take, you're seeing the cows shoot past and then she's sort of realizing it after. So that's what this camera does. And we also can move it up to here. So we have another RAM mount up on the handlebar, and that gives sort of a more, you know, up in Jess's face kind of shot with Whimsy just right here behind her. Now, we have RAM mounts placed all over, but we're only going to have as many of these arms as we have cameras. Otherwise, you've got these arms sticking out everywhere. So you only need as many arms as you have cameras. So we've got three sort of key locations on here, and obviously a number of other bars that we can use, but this really sort of keeps Jess busy with filming, and, you know, 3 locations kind of mixes it up. Let's take a look at my bike. So I've got the very important task of filming Jess and Whimsy. So I've got several locations that I can move around from. I've got a RAM mount up here, another one mounted up here, so I can do 2 cameras at once. This can kind of be boring. It's nice because you can shoot one side, you can shoot another side, but they are both at the same level, and it's not a particularly sort of dynamic level. It's really just sort of right on par. So we've got that. I've got another one here, and without too much unsafe activity, I can loosen and adjust this on the go so that I can turn it, okay? And it helps to have an Atlas throttle lock or built-in sort of cruise control. So this one gives you the back view. It also can give you a side view. This is really super nice. Now, for something like this, you need a smaller RAM mount. This is a much narrower, smaller diameter bar. So you can find that kind of a thing on Amazon. Now, around here on this side, so we've got this standard one right here, just kind of a standard level view. I've got another one lower down. Now I've got this one with the Hero 11 Mini, because I don't really at any point need to be able to see the screen for framing. There's no way I can sort of lean down and frame it while I'm riding. So this just needs to be set up, and I'll turn it on when I can. Then at a rest break, you know, maybe I want to adjust it so that I'm going to get a little bit further forward type of a shot, right? But while I'm riding, there's no adjustment really that's going on this. And so I don't particularly need one with the screen. Now there's no question this is getting closer to the engine, which means you do have to keep an eye on heat if you're going to be in slower speeds or, you know, stop and go traffic. The other thing you do need to be aware with the ones that are mounted to the crash bars is that they're mounted to the crash bars. If there's a crash, they really are sort of right there exposed in the open. So you're going to get a great shot from something like this, but it is sort of out there, and, you know, you're running a risk. Now, at the same time, like if you do have a crash, this can get an amazing shot of that crash, but you have to ask yourself, like, how important is it to me to potentially lose a GoPro, but to get the shot? So it really boils down to that. Now, one other thing I do is I have a spare kibble to go bag that I keep, and it's just got a bunch of different odds and ends of things that we need. A lot of backup gear for Whimsy in case, you know, we need something gets lost or damaged. And then I keep some backup GoPro mounts and other things that if we're gonna go out kayaking or something like that, I can put this on a kayak. If I need some more RAM mount balls, I can put this around and, you know, bolt it down. And so you have a variety of these, and the key piece here is, I mean, this is my backup gear. This is for sort of other options, and it boils down to a really small amount of stuff. And that's pretty much what we do to film the adventures. I think the key point here is that we have 4 or 5 cameras, and that really rounds out sort of enough different angles, because what you do want to avoid when you're on like a long-term ride is that you've got 1 or 2 cameras and you've got to keep stopping and moving them around to mix it up, right? So it's really nice to have a 3rd or 4th camera so that you've got multiple perspectives for any given ride segment, because I think what keeps it interesting, rather than sort of, at least in my opinion, a long, endless camera, helmet camera, is the different shots for just, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you mix that up, maybe some music's going, some talking's going, and you see a lot of different perspectives. And especially if the road is maybe a little bit more boring, those multiple perspectives keep it interesting. One more thing that we still have, and this maybe is sort of the coup de grace, and that is the Whimsy cam. So this is a Insta360, super small, super light, not quite 4K. I guess you'd maybe say it's a 2K camera. It's got actually impressive stabilization and really impressive range. And so this mounts beautifully onto the Rec Specs goggles, and we can see everything that Whimsy's seeing, and we can see it in real time, and we can see it from her perspective. So whole other video just on this, and that really rounds out what we use to film the adventure.